Hello people, I know what some of you are thinking. This is a paid ad. This guy is paid to say good things about the game. Let me stop you there. This is not true. Black Myth Wukong isn't perfect. It has room for improvement, but we're just discussing the story of this game here. As someone who has a strong obsession over getting to the bottom of things, I spent hours researching for this video just so I can explain the story and its background in the easiest way for you. Just hear me out for a few minutes and your gameplay experience will be a lot more immersive. The recent Steam Awards has inspired some discussions. Quite a few players are confused by Black Myth Wukong winning the Story-Rich Game Award. Many has spoken on social media saying that they think this game has little story and people aren't even discussing the story of Black Myth Wukong. Hence, it doesn't deserve the award. First of all, as a Chinese, I feel obligated to tell you there are so many discussions about the game's storyline in forms of videos, podcasts, articles, blogs, and in the comment section of all kinds of social media. So if you never encountered this kind of discussion, well, now it's a good time. So thank you for finding this video. The Black Myth Wukong game is set in the same world as the novel Journey to the West. The main character of the game, the Destined One, is a monkey living on Mount Huaguo who decides to embark on a journey to find the 6 relics of Sun Wukong with the hope to revive the legend. This world has 3 types of intellectual beings: human, Yaoguai, and the gods. Human is pretty self-explanatory. Yaoguai are in fact long-living creatures like animals, plants, or even rocks who gained intellectual power and some supernatural powers over the years. Their powers are usually not comparable with the gods, but there are exceptions at times. The gods are divided into 3 categories. First are the Celestial Court gods. They are referred as the East Sky or the East. You can think of them as a feudal court in heaven. The Jade Emperor or Yu Di is the ruler, and the court manages the world. For example, controlling weather, training celestial army, and suppressing rebellions. The second are the Buddhism gods. They are referred as the West Sky or the West. These gods are less government-like. They discuss Buddhism concepts or meditate for self-advancement. They are more like researchers and professors at a university. The current leader of these gods is the Gautama Buddha, who is the founder of Buddhism. It is worth to mention here that Buddhism has this concept of past, present, and future Buddha. Gautama Buddha is the present Buddha, and Maitreya is the future Buddha. So Maitreya is like the present elect, except the Buddha has forever been in this role. Imagine that. Third are the independent gods. These are gods or immortals who lives alone. Take Zhen Yuanzi for an example. He is the patriarch of all Earth's immortals. That means he's a highly respected god, but he doesn't serve in the Celestial Court or the West. The keepers that the players encounter during the gameplay, they are the local gods. They know everything about their piece of land, but they do not work directly for the Celestial Court. We can consider them also as the independent gods. And now we need to talk about Sun Wukong. He is a legendary monkey. Consider him the eastern version of Kratos from the God of War series, if you will. He's a god, but he's a special one. He was born from a rock on Mount Huaguo, and not just any rock. It is a very ancient rock that holds great power. The rock monkey becomes the Monkey King after he jumped through a waterfall and discovered the cave behind the waterfall, which later became home to all the monkeys. At this point, the Monkey King didn't have any supernatural power. But one day, one of his old monkey friends died, and he realized that he needs to live longer. He doesn't want to die of old age. So he traveled a very long distance to find a teacher, and that's where he learned nearly all of his powers. His teacher or mentor is Master Puti, who is a very mighty god. He doesn't really belong to the east nor the west, but we don't really know about his true identity. Master Putti gave the name Sun Wukong to the Monkey King and taught him skills like transformations and the somersault cloud, which allows him to travel long distances quickly. But Sun Wukong never learns the secret of immortality here, even though that was his initial goal. Sun Wukong then started his legendary story, first by practically robbing the Dragon Kings of the Four Seas for weapons and armory. Then he forms an alliance with 6 Yaoguai Kings. The Bull King from chapter 5 of the game is among them. Sun Wukong's destined lifespan was 342 years, so his soul was summoned to hell when it runs out. But he overpowered the gods in hell and deleted the life and death records of himself as well as all the monkeys from the hell's books. This means hell cannot determine their lifespan anymore, but it doesn't mean these monkeys and Sun Wukong got to live forever. They can still be killed or die of physical matters. On a side note, in the game, the maximum level you can reach is 342. So that's quite an Easter egg there, game science. Sun Wukong's act caused massive disruption to the Celestial Court's ruling system. But considering his power and talent, the Jade Emperor promised Sun Wukong a position in the court, so he can be controlled. Wukong accepted. He got a job to keep the horses in heaven. But then Wukong was offended when others told him that this is the lowest position in heaven. So he set all the horses free and returned to Mount Huaguo. He claimed the title Heaven's Eco-Sage. His 6 Yaoguai King friends also claimed their own titles. They called themselves the 7 Sages. Naturally, the Celestial Court sent an army to attack them, but they were all defeated by Sun Wukong. The Jade Emperor was advised to recognize Wukong's title and invite him back to heaven so Wukong cannot cause any more trouble on earth. So Sun Wukong's title was officially recognized as heaven's equal, and Wukong has some great time in the court making friends after he returns. Later, he was also given an important job to be the guardian of the Heavenly Peach Garden. These peaches are very important because they can give gods longer life and greater power. Wukong was deeply offended again when he was not invited to the royal peach banquet, so he ate all the peaches in the garden, stole and ate Taishang Laojun's golden pill of immortality. These golden pills of immortality can also massively increase gods' lifespan and abilities. Then Wukong drank and took a bunch of Jade Emperor's royal wine with him back to Mount Huaguo. In the game, you will find these golden pills on the map or after certain boss fights. These golden pills can permanently increase your health, stamina, or mana limits. The game designers did a good job here combining the game mechanics and the story. Now that Wukong has disrupted the banquet, many gods were angry because Wukong stole their once per 3,000 year chance to live longer. Just imagine you've waited 3 hours in line for a really good restaurant, and then someone comes out of nowhere, cuts in front of you, and took the last meal. Eventually, a large army with the best generals was sent to defeat Sun Wukong, but they were all beaten single-handedly by Sun Wukong until Erlangshen, Jade Emperor's bastard nephew, arrived with his army. Erlangshen is the warlord who has a lot of autonomy, and his relationship with his uncle isn't great, so sending him to attack Sun Wukong is really the Jade Emperor trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And just to be clear, this is not the fight presented in the opening scene of the game. This is the first time they fight each other. It happens hundreds of years before the actual game. Rumors has it that Erlangshen and Wukong has the same teacher, which explains why their skills are similar and they are equal opponents of each other. During their fight, Erlangshen and Sun Wukong was using transformations to secretly negotiate for terms. I won't get into the details here, but you should know that they were doing the same thing in the opening scene of the game. Their dialogue is actually much more than the apparent meaning. While Erlangshen and Sun Wukong fights, Taishang Laojun surprise attacked Wukong with one of his vessels and knocked him out. Taishang Laojun is an elder god with high status in the Celestial Court. Even the Jade Emperor highly respects him, so it's very rare for someone like him to surprise attack literally anyone. This says a lot about how difficult it was to defeat Wukong. It's like seeing Warren Buffett throwing a brick at someone's back when he's fighting Mike Tyson in a ring. And Sun Wukong's performance in the battle has earned him a great amount of respect among gods and Yaoguais. His title, Heaven's Eco-Sage, was no longer an empty title that everyone laughed at. Funny thing happened when the Celestial Court was trying to execute Wukong after capturing him. All of their typical execution method failed, so Wukong was instead locked in Taishan Laojun's alchemy furnace, which was used to forge the golden pills of immortality. But Wukong survived, and he even gained new skills after being burned by fire for so long. So when the furnace opened, he came out and kicked down the furnace. Some of the fire inside leaked out to the earth, and that has become the Flaming Mountains, which is the map for the 5th chapter of the game. After surviving these death penalties, Wukong was fearless and fight his way to the main chamber of the court, demanding to take the Jade Emperor's position. I want to add a context here. In this world, living for a long time and possess great power does not necessarily make a god a good fighter. Although these elder gods might have better vessels or certain skills that can take down a good fighter like Wukong. So this is why in chapter 1, 2, and 4 of the game, the final boss can be weakened by certain vessels and make the boss fight so much easier. Ultimately, Wukong was tricked and suppressed by the Gautama Buddha, locked under a mountain for over 500 years before released by Tang Sanzang and embarked on the journey to the west. You should know that Wukong's goal in the beginning was just to live longer and be able to defend himself and his fellow monkeys. Then his ambition grows and he desired to be recognized. After he was being imprisoned, he wants freedom more than ever. Then Tang Sanzang released him but put another restriction on him, the circlet. So Wukong's goal changed to getting rid of the circlet on his head so he can be free again. But after completing the journey, he realized that maybe it was not actually removed as promised. And that has led to the beginning of the game, where he gave up the Buddhahood and returned to Mount Huaguo in order to test if the circlet was actually removed. And as it turned out, it was not removed, and the circlet has caused his death. But even his own death was part of Wukong's plan, a plan that us players will execute for him. That was quite the backstory, huh? Throughout your gameplay, you will find further details about the main story and each subsequent stories. Some of them might even be contradicting because they were told by different sides of the story. For example, the tales the old monkey told at the beginning of the game, you will eventually figure out that it wasn't entirely true. The army that attacked Sun Wukong on Mount Huaguo wasn't really the Celestial Army, but instead the armies from the Yaoguai kings of each chapter. The story told by the Yellow Wind stage and the story told by the Headless Monk in chapter 2 is also contradicting. You have to choose which side you want to believe in. Chapter 3's final boss, Yellowbrow, is a disciple of the future Buddha Maitreya, and this is the second time he escaped with Maitreya's vessels to build a temple on Earth and trying to stop the journey. So this is definitely intentional. You will also find out that Yaoguai's spirit is the main material for making the golden pills, and the Celestial Court is intentionally producing Yaoguais to ensure a steady supply. This became very apparent after you complete chapter 4. The story of the Bull King family is also very touching, where the Red Boy's complicated origin teared up the family, and this plot was entirely manipulated by Taishan Laojun, using the family as potential political capital against the West. You will find many well-written stories throughout the chapters. There are tales of friendship, love stories, power, family, religion, karma, and philosophical arguments. There are backstories for every character in the game. It might not be comparable with, let's say, Elder Scrolls V in terms of the volume, but the game makers definitely put in a lot of thoughts. Maybe try reading their stories after defeating your enemies in the game. It will definitely bring you some new perspectives. Black Myth Wukong, while not perfect, offers a very interesting Eastern fantasy world to players, and it takes patience to uncover the truth of these stories. It is a very classic way of storytelling in China. I hope you can enjoy your time playing this game and have more bound to the game's world after watching this video. Let me know in the comment section if you have questions or want to discuss a certain part of the story. I might also make more videos on this topic if there's enough interest. Alright, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.